everyone, this is Tamara from ShelfAddiction.com and welcome to episode 26. Today I'm reviewing and talking about a series binge. I just finished reading recently 4 books by Jennifer Armentrout. This series is called the Dark Element series. Technically, it was 3 complete novels and 1 novella, and I'm excited to share that with you guys today. Before we jump into that, if you'd like to get in on this conversation or give me some feedback on one of the books or all of the books or the series overall, please let me know what you think and tweet at me. I'm on Twitter at ShelfAddiction. So let's jump right into it. If you are not familiar with what the Dark Element series is, it is a young adult, somewhat new adult fantasy series. It's also kind of romance, so I guess it falls in paranormal romance as well, and it's a really fun group of books. Before I get into the books themselves, let me just say I have read Jennifer Armentrout in the past, and I seriously just adore her writing. It's always a fun time. It's nothing really too serious, but you really get vested with these characters, all her characters. Every single book that I've read from her, I really remember it very well. I like the characters, I like the heroes and the heroines, and I like the, kind of sarcastic or wit that she injects into her characters. And of course, Armentrout does that as well with this series. I read this in order. I did pick up the full set on Kindle on Amazon. I believe they had a $2.99 sale or something. So I got all 3 books and the novella or short story, which is the short story was about 105 pages. I got all of it for, I believe it was $2.99. I don't know if there's a sale now or how much the regular price is, but I'll leave a link below if you're interested in checking out this series. So the series started off with the novella, which is Bittersweet Love, and this kind of starts off with characters that aren't the main characters in the rest of the series. Jasmine and Des are childhood friends, and eventually Des became Jasmine's crush. They're both gargoyles, which are called wardens. And, on a side note, that is also one thing that I loved about this series is that it wasn't typical vampires and werewolves. It's just all about demons and angels and gargoyles, which is very different, right? So anyway, so they're gargoyles, and I guess, the women are very rare amongst gargoyles because the demons are always trying to kill them. So at some point, they're growing up, and everyone just assumed that Des and Jasmine, aka Jazz, as they like to call her for short in the book, they were kind of destined to be married or together, and at some point he just kind of took off and disappeared without a trace. And of course, when he reappears 3 years later, and of course he's sexier and Jazz is more attracted to him, but yet she's very pissed off, to say that in the nicest way possible. She doesn't trust him. She doesn't know where he's been. She feels that he was gone because he didn't want to be with her, all of that. Now, I'm not going to, get all the way into it, but this is a really great introduction to the world. I got a really good, clear idea of what the threat is, who the threat is, and why the gargoyles are so protective of the women in their clans. And they do kind of congregate like, I guess, a werewolf pack would. They live in clans all over the country, all over the world. And their focus is to kill demons, kick butt, take names, and report to the angels. We get introduced to the main characters through Jazz and Des. At some point, they go to another group's, home, and there is where she meets Layla and Zane, and that is our door into the rest of the series. So, of course, in the end, it's a happily ever after. It was really cute. It was really fun and easy and quick. I was instantly hooked about this world, and I wanted to read more. So after about 50 pages into Bittersweet Love, I was really hooked and I was pulled into this world and I knew I would just keep on reading. So let me give you my rating for Bittersweet Love. It is 1 out of 5, no halves, as I always do. And since it's a book, I rate in bookmarks. So I would give Bittersweet Love 4 out of 5 bookmarks. It was very good. It was near perfect. It set the stage really well, and it left me wanting to read more. Next up in the series is book 1, which is White Hot Kiss. This story was just really, really good. We are introduced to 17-year-old Layla, who, she has a lot of problems with who she is, her identity, and that's because she's kind of torn between two worlds. She's half demon and half gargoyle, and she has the ability to do things that other demons can't do, and that is to take someone's soul by essentially kissing them. She also can't transform in the same way that other gargoyles do. In these books, essentially, they look like humans unless they're in their sleeping form, or they transform when they are in battle mode and other things. So they're able to control when they look like a gargoyle, versus when they look like stone when they're kind of sleeping to heal and all this. But unfortunately, Layla can't do any of that. She's stuck in her human form, and on top of that, she can't even imagine being with another gargoyle because of her abilities to steal souls. And she was raised by the warden. She was found and raised, and what she did kind of, I guess, to try to fit in, she tags demons. She goes around, she finds low-level demons, and she tags them for the gargoyles to come later. During all of this, learning about her, we are introduced to Zane, and pretty much Zane was there when she was first, brought home, and his father kind of put him in charge of her and kind of told him to look out for her. And as they've grown up together, Layla has had an extreme crush on this guy, and he kind of sees her as a young child or little sister for a while, and then suddenly the way he looks at her changes, and everyone sees it except Layla, of course. But amidst all of this, she meets Roth, and Roth, oh my gosh, Roth, Team Roth over here, by the way. He's a tattooed, very sexy demon who claims to kind of know everything that she doesn't know. She wants to know what he knows, how he knows it, and ironically, she can kiss him without any problem. Now, along with Roth's tattoos come all kind of interesting things like snakes and kittens and all kind of things that come off his skin. And those are basically familiars. It's very interesting. It's really cute. And I gotta say, I really love, even though it's like that typical young adult, love triangle, it's kind of different, different in the way that Layla, likes Zane. Layla is attracted to Roth. And then suddenly it seems like Zane likes Layla when she's all into Roth. You know how it goes. The minute you stop really thinking about someone and focusing on someone else, suddenly the first person wants you, right? Layla is essentially keeping Roth a secret from everyone. If her clan, the other gargoyles, knew she was hanging out with a demon, they would surely kick her out. And that, created a whole nother level of tension and drama in the whole nine. And yes, we did get a pretty good cliffhanger here. I really liked it. This book, though, I felt that I was turning those pages so fast. It was almost 400 pages, but it didn't seem like it. It really didn't. It was a really fast read. I was really into it. I really like Layla and Zane together. And the whole time, I instantly got on team, did I say Zane? No, I really like Layla and Roth together. Oh my God. I did not mean to misspeak because I liked Roth instantly. He is that typical bad boy. The one that you're not supposed to be with, but he's like too attractive not to even not deal with. You know what I mean? So that is him. And them together is very cute. So I really liked everything that was going on. You know, Layla starts to learn about her heritage, and she starts to learn that she's able to possibly control some things, possibly. And so as Layla starts to learn more about herself, she becomes more sure of herself, sure of what she's able to do, why she's doing it, and how she's doing things with a purpose. She is a very strong character, and I like that. But you know what? She is a little young. She is 17 after all. So sometimes when she's doing crazy things or saying things that don't really make sense, you just have to charge that to her being 17 years old. And that's the thing about young adult. It's like sometimes if you're in this adult mode and you're like, why would you do that? That's the stupidest thing I ever heard. It's like you have to push pause, stop, back up. Remember, she's 17, you know? So things happen at 17 years old that don't happen when you're, 27 years old. So as long as you just keep that in mind, I think you'll enjoy it a lot more. Also, what I really liked about all of the books, and it started with this first one, White Hot Kiss, is that they're all about the same age. Zane is a couple years older. Roth is, I think he's like 17 or 18, and of course Layla is 17. So what's interesting is how they explain that, a demon who is immortal is 17 years old, really 17 years old. And I like how that was explained. And that's the fun thing about fantasy. You can really make anything happen. It's your world, right? And speaking of world, the world building was pretty good as well. Actually, it's better than pretty good. I mean, I really bought it hook, line, and sinker, and I really just enjoyed everything about it. I believed the worlds, I believed the characters, and she sold me. So I know you want to know what I rated White Hot Kiss. I rated that 5 bookmarks out of 5. I just really, really thoroughly enjoyed it. And at that point, I was very excited that I decided to read the series.
It's time for the blog rundown. Find out what's new on shelfaddiction.com.
All right, guys, the blog rundown. As always, please go to shelfaddiction.com and leave me a voicemail. I would love to get your feedback on the genre of the month. This month, we are going to gear up for Halloween. So we are going to do horror or Halloween themed. So if you have a recommendation, leave me a 60-second or less clip. Include your name, your state or country. Include the book recommendation along with the author name and a one-liner on why you recommend it. And yeah, leave me feedback as well. If you have something that you'd like to share, please feel free to leave me that message there as well. Moving on to book 2. And that is Stone Cold Touch. Now, you know what? These titles do have a lot to do with kind of who Layla is focusing on a little bit. And the reason why I say that is like White Hot Kiss, okay? That's really all about Roth. It's Roth's world in that book. She can kiss him and she can be with him in a way that she could never be with Zane. And Stone Cold Touch, it's more about, I guess, her realizing that she can possibly be with Zane after all. And, at the end of White Hot Kiss, something happens and Layla feels like she's alone, right? So she turns to Zane and they start to change their relationship. And she realizes that she has the ability to keep things in check, and maybe they can have a relationship after all. So, of course, we know where that leads, right? Zane is all into her, and Layla's all into him, until something else surprising happens. Surprise, surprise. This is fantasy, right? So is anyone ever gone? Are they? I think not. And when said person returns, of course, she spends most of the book trying to, I think, make herself believe that she hates him. So she's trying to force, a round peg into a square hole. and it's just not working. She's trying to force that relationship with Zane, and clearly it's something else, right? So I'm not going to tell you all of what happened, but the romance level on this was pretty hot, I gotta say. It was pretty high for a young adult book, but like a lot of the times the young adult books are a lot more steamy than you would think. But I do feel like the plot was very cohesive. It picked up, at the end of the last book. We knew what was going on. We understood why the Wardens were doing things. We understood why the demons were doing things. And the whole time, Layla was growing as a character. She's learning more and more. And she's becoming a little more mature. Despite her, conflicting feelings towards Zane and Roth. And, a very complicated young type relationship, how that goes, where she's mooning and wondering and thinking about what could be and what couldn't be, but when it comes down to it, she makes the right choice, the choice that all the readers wanted her to make, and the book comes together. And ironically, this book, while Zane got a lot more face time in this book, it did not make me like him anymore. It's like he is really cold. I mean, he's so boring sometimes, and I don't think he means to be. I just think that's a product of his environment, but he does warm up a little bit when it comes to Layla, but he's a little delusional in some ways. But, in the end, they're friends, and they grew up together. They're family. So I think, what happened had to happen, and I was glad that Armentrout didn't, take the easy way and kill someone off. I like when the leading lady actually makes a decision instead of getting out of it by death or some other, way. She actually womaned up and made a choice. So that is a good thing. While the story might have been a tad predictable, I enjoyed every moment anyway. Now, this one went over 400 pages. The other, I think, was 388. This one came in at 464, so it was a tad longer, but I enjoyed every moment. The plot was cohesive and forward-moving, and I just had a really great time with it. I rated Stone Cold Touch 5 out of 5 bookmarks. So the last installment is Every Last Breath, and this picks up essentially where the last book leaves. So what I like about this is that there's not really a huge amount of time between each book, and the end of this is all about, I guess, choices and consequences, right? Layla has, kind of grown up even more. She's more mature, and now she has to figure out how the deadliest of demons is walking the earth, and it's taking the form of her friends, it's taking the form of her enemies, and it's able to transform into whatever he wants to look like. In this final installment, it's all about Layla taking the lead and bringing back down the big bad. And it's forcing the Wardens and the demons to work together in a way they never have, just to take down, the ultimate evil. Not only that, but they don't want the angels stepping in and ruining their lives. And that's especially what would happen if they don't get this particular type of demon under control. And by under control, I mean gone. Layla has some more loss in this book, and her friends are dealing with loss, and there's death everywhere. So, it's a lot of things going on. But again, though, the plot is still tight, and we know what's going on, and there's no confusion, and the story is forward moving. So it really makes for an easy, quick read. There's not as much, of the underlining romance going on. They're really just about taking care of business at this point. The decision's been made. It's time to focus on, surviving and making it out. So like I said, there was essentially not that much, relationship angsty stuff, but still the plot was exciting. There was no slowed moments or downtime, and no page was wasted. I think that, of course, it still had it's moments of drama and it's, you know, moments of angstiness, but what do you expect? The girl is 17 years old. She's been through a major trauma, more than one. And, you know, most people would want to curl up in a ball and hide after all the stuff she's experienced, but she makes it through. And I like that about her character, and I like that her friends stand by her regardless of if they're getting what they want or not. I still feel Team Roth over here, seriously. Like, there is nothing that can make me change that team. I would never switch sides to the Zane side. Roth's character is just, I don't know, he's like the baddest of bad, but he's so good. Like, he really has a heart of gold despite him being a bad boy. And that is something really unique about that type of character. Now, as far as world development goes, I don't think that the world development was as strong as it was in previous books. Maybe that was because I was accustomed to the world and I knew what was going on, so there really wasn't any further depth. You know, there wasn't any really too much new to uncover or discover. So I do wish that one thing could have been a little bit stronger. And really, at that point, I was going to read it regardless because I wanted to know how it ended. I wanted to know, you know, that they were able to defeat the big bad and, you know, go hand in hand off into the sunset happily ever after. And essentially we got that. I mean, as happily ever after as you could be, you know, in that situation. Zane's got some healing to do. Layla's got some healing to do, and Roth will be there to help her out with it. So, I mean, it was a really good ending. I really liked it. It wasn't perfect by any means, but, you know, at that point, you're vested. You know, you're in it to win it, and you're going to enjoy the ride. I mean, if you enjoyed the first three, you know, Bittersweet Love and White Hot Kiss and Stone Cold Touch, then Every Last Breath will be, you know, on par, and you will enjoy it just as much. It was a very strong ending to the series, and I just really, really enjoyed it. I rated Every Last Breath 4 out of 5 bookmarks. Like I said, it wasn't perfect. It, you know, had its moments, but, you know, it was really good. The Dark Elements series overall would get a total rating of 4 out of 5 bookmarks. The reason why I went with a 4 instead of a 5 is because when it all came down to it, I had 2 5s and 2 4 ratings, and I always tend to round down. So instead of meeting in the middle and rounding up, I met in the middle and rounded down, which left me at a 4 out of 5 rating, which is still very, very good. This is definitely, if you're a fast reader, you could plow through these 4 books in 3 days. And that's essentially what I did. You know, I just took a weekend and just plowed through these books, and it was just worth it completely. So obviously I recommend this series. If you enjoy fantasy, if you enjoy young adult fantasy, then this would be perfect for you. If you want to try fantasy, but you want something that's a little light and not too heavy and not too complex, then this will be right for you. If you'd like to try out young adult and you haven't read a young adult's fantasy title, this would also be a great choice for you as well. So definitely give it a try. If you've read this series, please let me know what you thought about it. If you've read the first or second book but didn't get to the third, let me know why you didn't finish the series. What didn't you like? I would love to hear your point of view. So that's it, you guys. Thank you so much for listening, and I will talk to you again on this weekend when I post Pop Culture Sunday. Before you go, please hit that follow button on Spreaker, the only place where you can listen live, or subscribe and listen later on iTunes, Google Play Music, YouTube, and the Stitcher app. Thanks again, and until next time, happy reading. Bye, guys.